out for you and we're successful on your end.
Yeah. All right. I don't have my second screen pulled up today, so what's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here. Today I have CryptoCandor, Altcoin Sara, and of course Crypto Rhode. All right. I don't have my second screen pulled up today, so what's going on, guys? UK time. We had to make do with what we had. So how's it going, everybody?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah. Awesome. So I can't see it. Can you guys hear us on our end? Are we live? I can't see on my end right now because I only have one screen pulled up.
I am live on my end, and I don't know how my sound is, though.
I think I'm live as well from what I can see.
Is it showing that your stream health is green?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Can everybody hear us? Everybody can hear everybody? First time doing this. UK, New York, what up?
It's like
cool. Let's go.
The battle across the pond.
Awesome. So we have a lot of different people on my channel, CryptoCandor. I mean, you're more than welcome to introduce yourself. You're on here quite frequently. I do enjoy your company. And for the rest of you, Sara and Rhoda, would you like to kind of introduce yourselves a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. I'm Sara from Altcoin Ladies. On Twitter, Altcoin Sara, and any other social media. Recording from Birmingham. Everyone thinks England's only got one city, and that's London. Not from London. But yeah, so been investing into crypto for almost a year now. And that's me in a quick nutshell.
Cool.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rhoda. In this space, I'm known as Crypto Rhodes, but I'm pretty new to the scene. Only entered the space maybe a few months ago, although I've had an awareness of it, like most people, for several years now. I mean, my partner has been dabbling in it for years. I've been kind of having it in the background, sort of ignoring it in a way, not really paying any attention. And it was only really this year that I really started paying attention when I was kind of in a low place. I'd just had another baby and was feeling a bit helpless about a lot of things happening in the world and my personal life. And my partner really helped me through. He really actually sat me down and broke everything down to me and made me see that it's not just all about Bitcoin. He said, look, because I was really pissed off one day about Facebook, the whole thing, the data misuse thing. And he showed me that social media is changing as well. It's moving onto the blockchain. And he showed me all these, I joined Steemit, and applied to be an alpha tester for Howdo. I downloaded Lit, and I think I pretty much got opened up into this new world. I was like, what is happening?
It came out of the gate quick.
Yeah.
Have you actually you've tested Howdo? Have you tried it?
As an alpha tester, but from what I understand, that's not what the platform's going to be like. It's just to test things like reaction times and stuff like that. So yeah, it was all about finding issues and things that needed to be reported. But so I don't actually know what the actual platform's going to be like, to be honest with you. Yeah, but that was my entry point, social media. And as a mother, I'm in London, by the way, if you haven't noticed. As a mother of two very young children, I became quickly aware that this new sort of technology is going to be what my kids are going to be growing up in, much like the internet was for us. Mm-hmm. So I've become acutely aware of how this is going to affect them, and I didn't want to be disconnected from that, and like the way my parents are with the internet now. I'm still helping my mum and dad send emails and stuff. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to be a part of that and understand it as much as possible, even though I really struggle with a lot of the tech stuff and the investments sort of talk. But my partner really helped me with that. I mean, he's been a trader for a few years as well in the traditional market. So I think I kind of leave all that to him.
Yeah. These are like traditional markets on steroids, though, but it's kind of similar. It can be tough, and it's all right as far as the tech goes. Yeah, just take your time day by day. I mean, I didn't learn everything in a day, and I still learn. There's still things that confuse the hell out of me. So absolutely.
But that's cool. I mean, you're the way you're seeing it as wanting to get involved and understand it now because you're going to have kids who are growing up in it. I don't have kids, so I haven't thought of that in context. But you're spot on. That's the truth. So that's pretty cool that you're kind of trying to make yourself a little bit more involved and just educated so that when it does become more commonplace that you won't be kind of left in the dark.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just enthusiastic about the space. I think it's
yeah, I think we all are
so much. Yeah.
So I had a question for you, since now we're talking to people from the UK, which, you know, Candor and I are from New York, so we have a very specific viewpoint on things, you know, US citizens and all that. What is it like in the UK? What is your government stance on it? How does your country kind of look at it and view it?
Well,
I went recently to a conference as Altcoin Bus Ladies representative, and I thought it would be quite cool to see, because I haven't been to one for blockchain related stuff. And it was more of a really beginner. There was a lot of people who were in a pre-ICO phase, just thinking of creating projects rather than being invested in themselves. There was one conference, and let's say there was 100 people, and maybe actually 15 of them owned any crypto. So I thought that was a bit weird. But I guess it was just sort of a conference that I went to, some blockchain show. But I think the UK is really pro it. From what I've seen in the news, they really like blockchain. They're trying to implement it into as much ways as they can. It's quite a liberal country over here. So it's my take on it.
What are your are you guys allowed to participate in the majority of ICOs? I mean, if you, yeah, I'm very envious, or we probably are both very envious, because in the United States, we basically can't do anything. So,
I mean, right now it might be a godsend because none of these ICOs are doing well. So in that hand, I think now it worked in our favor. But last year when they were just absolutely smashing it, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, not great. But I mean,
like Coinbase recently added the possibility to exchange your funds back into pounds straight into, where previously you had to do it pretty sure you had to do it to euros, and then you had to bring it some other platform to actually withdraw funds from crypto to fiat. So that thing just shows that even if Coinbase is getting involved in it, that UK is becoming a big player in the scene.
Yeah, I mean, in the one of my local grocery stores, there's a billboard outside, an electric one, and it says you can advertise here by paying with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin. And a shop, like a corner shop a little further up the road from me, has a crypto, like, cash machine thing.
ATM, that's so
cool. Yeah.
I've seen those pop up in a lot of like Asian countries where people will, like, they're on vacation and they'll post it on like Reddit. I've seen the ATMs. I haven't seen any in the United States, obviously, but I know they exist.
Yeah, it's weird.
I've literally bypassed everyone. There's this shop. The least shop I would expect to sell Bitcoin actually have it.
Exactly. Yeah, same.
The machines are just weird looking things. I don't know. I haven't experienced it yet, because I know the fees that they take are just enormous for Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's got to be an incentive, right? It's probably a liability for them to create them and get licensed to have them out there and get them regulated or whatever. So they're going to have to try to make money in some capacity.
Absolutely. So what do you guys, I mean, as far as this crazy dip, so, I mean, I know, Rhoda, you just got into it recently. So what do you think of this? Like, I mean, so many people got involved in this, you know, December, January time, and now with everything that's going on in the markets, what do you think? I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'm new to the space, so I actually entered the space in a bear run, I suppose. But just from what I've seen I know it's not the same as the traditional markets because it's a lot more volatile, but from what I've seen with my partner's work, it's all swings and roundabouts. It's always up and down, isn't it? So I know how the news can affect, like, geopolitical tensions, and everything can affect the traditional markets. And with this particular market, the current news it seems to, especially with the SEC stuff that's happening, not SEC stuff.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to talk about, like, I mean,
I did not know that.
Partnered with PumaPay, so I mean, technically you're not that off. I mean, they did have a partnership. So
I've lost my train of thought now.
Well, it's okay. I mean, yeah, well, a lot of things that they're talking about right now, for example, the big thing is the whole ETF situation. And, you know, I read an article this morning that they were saying they're thinking that it might not get approved because of the crazy manipulation. I mean, we saw what happened with BitMEX when they shut down and it just instantly spiked up. And then as soon as it came back, it instantly went back down again. So, I mean, what's your stance on it? Do you even think that we need an ETF, or what is your opinion on it as far as, like, what do you think even in general is going to help bring people into this space that we need more?
I'm not sure about the ETF thing, because I'm kind of split, because I understand that it will bring other people into the space. And I know the whole thing about the space is meant to be about decentralization. So
yeah, I'm split too.
I kind of think that that society kind of needs centralization in a way. But I read an article earlier that Andreas Antonopoulos was saying that he thinks it's a bad idea because of the manipulation that it's going to create. So
I think what the project should focus more is on actual innovation and working products and proving that they can deliver, instead of focusing on ETFs and what the governments will do, because they'll have to sort something out because it's such a volatile market. But the fact that we need working products doesn't change the fact that they need to keep on working and improving their own projects, because there's so many assets without working projects that people invested a lot of money in, and it's time to show if it actually works, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have Ethos? Does it work for you? Can you do you have a fiat trading in and out where you are?
Sorry?
Do you guys have for Ethos? Can you use the fiat ramp in and out in the UK?
The gateway?
Does it work? Yeah.
I didn't even know that they had the gateway up and running yet.
Oh, it's not? Okay,
no,
I didn't know.
The only reason I know this is because I just did that damn video. But they that's like they just partnered with somebody to set up the gateway, but it's not currently active. But it is coming up. I think like it's pretty close on the roadmap as far as priorities for them. And I'm sure like if they're already allowing, if they're liberal with ICOs and other things, the gateway is probably going to be accessible for you guys. But as far as the ETF goes, I guess my view is very similar to Rhoda's. Like, it's good in a sense that some centralization will bring in like older people who are maybe more skeptical of the space and don't feel comfortable investing. But in the same light, I agree with Sarah and that we should be focused on projects that are actually doing what they say they're going to do, because eventually the government and everybody else is going to just have to figure it out and follow suit and accept it or not and find a way to regulate it or not. And I think it's hard to put this space in a box and say, okay, we need an ETF, we need SEC regulations, when this is the first time this space has ever been in existence. And forcing other regulations that fit other things onto this may not be the best way to go about it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think that this is kind of its own beast, and it needs to kind of grow and become its own thing before we start to try to, make it into something else, I guess.
It's ironic.
Yeah, speaking of Ethos, they just... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I talk all day on this channel. Go ahead.
Ethos just dropped Omisa Go, if anyone's still interested.
Oh, did they really? I'm going to go check that out, because I'm getting the airdrops myself.
Oh, somebody asked real quick, Rhoda, you said you had a Lit app. People want to know how they can follow you on Lit. What's your username?
Oh, she froze?
Oh, no. She's frozen.
Oh, there she is.
Okay, I'm Crypto Rhodes. I'm Crypto Rhodes on all of the social media sites.
With the zero as the O?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have to admit, I downloaded the Lit app, but I haven't used it much. Sorry, guys. Because it's more of a stories platform, and that's not really me. I had a look around, but I'm not really one of those people that likes to upload stories. So sorry, you'll find me, but you won't find much.
So I wanted to ask you, Rhoda, real quick, just because you are extremely new to this space, which is why I wanted to have you on the channel, because I mean, you only have a couple videos up, and I found your content to be really good right out the gate.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to ask you, is this like, what are you doing? Because I know you are you still doing acting as well? Because you also do white papers. You read white papers. Do you want to explain what that's all about? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I entered this space, because I knew pretty much nothing, the first white paper I tried to read was Bitcoin. That was the one that my partner told me to read. He said, well, if you're going to read one, might as well start with the one. And because I've got two very young kids, one of them's 3 and the other one was just a baby at the time. Well, he's still a baby now. I've actually listened to an audio version of it online, and I found that easier while I had the kids. I could just, listen to it as I did stuff. And I thought that was a really good way for me to learn. Like, why not do audio recordings of these white papers? So my partner, who's very supportive of this, he said, rather than telling me which one to record, he said, well, why don't you look around and pick one? So the first one I recorded was Eden Chain. That was really technical. I kind of regretted it straight away. I was like, oh, it took me ages. But
some of them are like 50% mathematics. So like, how do you go around that? You just skip it?
I don't. Well, I Googled a lot to see how to say pronounce the formulas or however. But if I got really stuck, I'd say, please refer to equation on page 10.
That's good.
But yeah, I'm still acting. I took a few years out just because I had to focus on being a mum, and I just needed to have a break, because the last proper job I did was filmed in Belgium, and I was back and forth, and it really killed me being away from my son. And now I've got a second son. I've really like taken my time to be with my kids. So
it's important.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
Job,
but I mean,
crypto,
I know.
And kids.
Yeah, exactly. But I did tell my agent, like, obviously, if Star Wars are knocking on the door, I won't say no to an audition. But I'm slowly going back to work now. So
good for you.
It's going to be interesting.
Not to cut everybody off, but on my side, since you're a lot of new faces on the channel, they're interested in what projects do you like? What projects are you looking at? So do you guys want to everybody knows on my channel the things I like, but what are you guys really looking at right now? Are you buying anything on the dip? Are you waiting, or just fundamentally, what do you like?
I'm a massive fan of Neo.
Yeah,
it's one of the first projects I invested in, and it's just close to my heart for that reason. I'm also extremely bullish on VeChain. If you follow me, you know about how crazy I am with VeChain. And I'll think of the third one once Rhode says, because I'd want to make it a good pick now.
VeChain had 100% increase in a week. So kudos to anyone holding that. Seriously.
Cardano.
Yes.
Oh, Cardano. Nice. We got two Cardanos on here.
Yes, I'm right there with you. I've kind of made I think everybody sort of knows that, like, the way, K-Dub likes Neo is the way I like Cardano and that whole project.
I saw your review. It was one of the first.
Oh no.
Hoskinson.
Oh yeah.
You cut out a little bit. What'd you say?
Oh yeah. I was saying to Candor that I saw her review and her interview with Charles Hoskinson. It was one of the first things that I saw.
I know. How the hell did she get that?
So it's really great stuff, man.
So when I was
super impressed.
Thank you. I was petrified the entire time, and actually Charles had set up the Google Hangouts so that we could stream, and that was the only time I had ever used Google Hangouts, and I didn't know that, like, he needed to change the setting on his side, so it only streamed him the whole time, which ended up being a blessing because it was a 2-hour interview, and I was like I was probably shaking through most of it because I was just so nervous. Cause I went from like making little videos in my kitchen to all of a sudden live streaming with Charles Hoskinson. I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong place. Like, are you sure you asked the right person? So yeah, no, it was cool. Kind of to speak to what you said about being new in the space and not feeling like there's so much more you don't know. You may always feel like that, because I've been in here doing this for 1.5 years now, and I still find that there's so much that I still need to learn or still need to really understand, or there's always more information, which is also kind of the cool thing about it, is that there's always something to research and learn more about it.
Yeah, definitely. The more you go into it, the more you realize that it's crazy. And at first I used to get really obsessed with the tech, and I still am, but now I kind of agree with Sarah that I need to, sorry, she had a thing about earlier before we got on. You have to pronounce it a certain way. So it's Sara, right?
Yeah.
Sarah. I don't know. It's my New York accent. I guess I say it wrong.
I know I say it wrong
too. But yeah, you know what? I forgot my train of thought. Anyway, but what I was going to say was for me personally, as you get deeper into the tech, you start to realize that eventually you do need that adoption, and you need it to be something where I always like to go back to what Steve Jobs said, where it's about the why. It's not the what. Like, you can try to sell people tech all day, but if it doesn't make their life easier, if it's not more convenient for them, if it's not something that's applicable, it's really difficult to convince someone to just switch over to something that they're not used to just because of, like, oh, one time there was a privacy breach. It has to be more than just that. And I think that's where we're at right now. And it's a gamble, and it's more or less, for example, you said Cardano. And they're one of those scholar types where everything has to kind of get peer reviewed, everything has to get, so it takes time. And I think with crypto, we expected that the tech was going to move as fast as the price was back in December. And then when it didn't, everybody got super depressed. So I don't know. It sucks. But unfortunately, you know, you look at companies like the ones that are the big ones now. Everybody talks about Amazon, Facebook, Google. They didn't become, you know, Neo's only been around for, you know, I don't know when they first did their ICO, but, you know, I know Elastos, they just had their anniversary yesterday. It's 1 year. And everyone's like, oh, well, what do you expect? It's been 1 year, guys, you know?
I know.
So, yeah.
1 year is nothing.
No, absolutely not.
It's not, especially considering the kind of disruptive technology. We're trying to like rebuild everything that we've been using for the last like 50 or 60 years. It's just pretty unbelievable to think that people can be so impulsive about kind of how they feel about projects and why they're taking so long. And I mean, I've done it too. I can't, you know, pretend that I'm better in the process of having patience, but it's, you know, it's important to remember again that this is so early on in this space. You know, and that's the cool part about it is we're all early adopters. Whether or not you started yesterday or today, or you started 2-3 years ago, you know, we got a long time of growth before this becomes mainstream.
Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of questions on my end about EOS. Do you have any opinions on them? I know, did I just start the war on but do you guys, what do you think?
Well, considering how much money they managed to raise and how it all started off, I'm a bit disappointed, to be fair.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
It's tough. I mean, because like, here's the thing. So you've had a project like Tron, right? Which they didn't have the ICO, but a lot of people were saying that Tron got hyped up out of nowhere. It was, you know, vaporware. They had nothing, right? But the thing is that Tron actually, in a weird way, they had a super high market cap, right? There was so much FOMO into it. And then Justin Sun actually started utilizing some of that money to start developing the Tron virtual machine, the stuff. So like, in a sense, it's like you hear people say like, oh, I hate these guys that like, they just pump their coins for no reason. But then on the other hand, it's like, I like the guys that just put their head down and do the tech. But as long as they're like utilizing it and being smart with it, like I think Tron actually, like when I'm not gonna lie, when Tron first came out, I was I laughed at it. I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. But now that I see how serious they are and they're actually using their funds, they've acquired BitTorrent. You know, they have Tron Chat that just came out. Then they're doing that thing with Seed It now. They're doing. Yeah, so I mean, that to me, those are things people can use. I mean, get seated, go on Twitter and send a tip. Anyone could do that, you know, and that's the adoption that I think that's really going to help push it forward. Not, you know, okay, get your 12 password seed phrase, download your mnemonic, this, put it on a hardware, then transfer here. I mean, most people are just used to going to the bank. You know, now I got to do 12 more steps to get my money. You know what I mean? It's like crazy.
Well, that's like the thing that I feel like I say this in like every stream because someone always asks like, what's your thought on you know, the space growing and how is it going to start being used by people? And it's always, my response is always, we have to be using it in a way that people don't realize that they're using blockchain tech. Yes. It has to be seamlessly, effortlessly. You open up your phone, you use an app, and the app works, and it just happens to be a blockchain-based project. So, and I mean,
like Lit, for example, that's like just like an Instagram.
Or even like the EOS or the Ethos wallet, being able to open it up, buy crypto, do atomic swaps on the platform, keep it all there, you know, invest in other things like that, to me is like a much easier use case than going on Coinbase and buying it and sending it to Binance and buying it and then sending it to the wallet on your computer. Like we have to decrease steps. Yeah, it's a huge process and it's intimidating. I mean, the first time I ever sent a transaction on like the Ethereum network, like, what is this address? Like the average person's not going to feel comfortable dealing with stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Do you guys check 4 times the address before you actually send the funds, or is it just me panicking that you're gonna send it somewhere else?
Yeah, that happened to me the other day. I did it for the first time, and I was so nervous because if it went to the wrong address, then it's completely my fault.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, totally. I do the same thing.
Yeah, that's the thing is like now you actually are your own bank. So the responsibility is on you. I've seen a few of these different projects. For example, Byteball, they recently came out with addresses now where you can buy one for it's really cheap. It's like I think maybe $40 or something in Byte, and you just get so you could actually have like Crypto Rhodes. Yeah. You know, you still have your private key on it for yourself, but like your public address and stuff, you can just tell somebody like, oh, just send it to at Crypto Rhodes, and then it'll redirect it to your address. So it's those types of things that make it easier. You know, most people don't want to carry around a 57 letter number digit copy paste, you know, and then you have that, then if you do have to copy and paste it, you got it in your phone, maybe somebody copies it, steals it, right, or something like that. So
you can actually do that on my Ether wallet. You can buy like the
I was going to say
service.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. So it would be like, you know, the cryptozombie.eth. So in full disclosure, I tried to buy CryptoCandor.eth and I couldn't figure out how to do it because there's like a 3-day waiting period, and then you have to wait, and then you have to like bid on it. And I kept trying. I did it like 3 or 4 times, and I couldn't figure it out. So either I don't know what I'm doing, or it's just difficult. But it wasn't. It was a pain to try to get the name, and I thought that would be cool. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just have my name.eth. But there are some services that do like the name instead of like the long address.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of projects doing that, even like Komodo. You know, I was speaking to the team. I'm actually trying to get an interview with JL777. He's the anonymous, so I have to do it through Discord, and it has to be through text only. So I'm probably gonna do that like next week. But even these guys are like, yeah, you know, we kind of need a brand refresh. We need to, you know, because even like the user, the UXs, the UIs, whatever you want to call them, like they're trying to make the experience easier. And, you know, it's like, well, it works, but it's difficult. And they need it to be more like one push button type thing, you know, like what we're familiar with now. And I'm actually seeing a lot of projects realize that. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if the remainder of this year, we see projects really pushing like user experience, user interface, because I think they like have the hint now. So I think that's something they're definitely going to be doing moving forward. Absolutely. What else did I had a question. I forget what I was going to ask you. Oh, I had a question actually, because this is the first time I've ever done it like all girls. Okay. So I get this thing on my videos, because I always start off with like, what's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here. And like every couple of days, I always get somebody like, stop saying guys, there's girls here too. Are you offended by that as women? Does that bother you? Because like if you look in the dictionary definition, like the first definition is men, and the second definition is a group of people collectively. Does not have to be.
I always thought it was like a neutral term. I say guys, or I call people guys or bro or dude, and like I say that to like my female friends. So I mean, but I may not be the best person to ask, but I don't think so. I'm not.
My intro is, hey guys, it's Sara from Altcoin Ladies. So no, I'm not offended.
Okay, good, because I'm going to definitely point that out, and I'm going to reference this, because the next time somebody says this, I'm going to be like, watch the video. They don't care.
Yeah, just like do like the link in your description, like to this moment in the video. Be like, yeah, see, I asked. I'm good.
One of the reasons, though, that I really wanted to get all of you guys on the channel is because, well, not just because, you know, a lot of people in the chat are making, you know, comments about that it's all females, but really I like that you do informational, educational content on your channels. And I think that there needs to be more of that in the space. Like I love to do top 10s. I do them sometimes, you know, and yeah, I interview projects, and sometimes you get a little hypey and I do news, but education, you know, like what good is, like I do news, great, but what good is my channel going to do to somebody who just came in? Great, the news. How do I use it? How do I get involved? You know, so I really do appreciate that. And I think it's important. And I think that that's what the space is missing, in my opinion. So I wanted to say thank you for what you are doing for helping everyone.
Oh.
No, it's important. I mean, I watched your video where you like kind of thanked Kyle or whatever for, his like shout out. And it reminded me of the reason I started my channel, which was when I got into the space, there just wasn't a lot of entry-level content. It was either like you're reading articles about like, what is Ethereum? Or you're watching like a 7-minute video where someone breaks down the tech or talks about the news. And it was really hard to find content that was like, okay, speak to me like an adult, but also, you know, make it so that it's digestible. And that's what I wanted to do. And so it's cool to see other people doing that too, because I really think that there's a need for education. I mean, education's the whole space anyways, but education in a sense that's like perfect example, the Charles Hoskinson interview, he's brilliant, but he's brilliant in a way that sometimes it doesn't translate. So we need people to translate that and make it easy for the average person. So I think that's very important.
Definitely,
yeah, like
absolutely.
On my own example, I found that long videos don't speak to me. So the way I try to do mine is, unless it's a live stream, I try to keep it until like below 10 minutes, so I can keep the people interested, but also I know I wouldn't bore myself if I had to listen to it. Because if you go into too much detail, people just lose the interest, or it just gets too complicated for it to just listen without asking the questions. So I think as long as we keep it short, people will be more interested to expand their knowledge about different projects, and that's my strategy for bringing all the projects to people.
I try to explain it to someone like me. If I can understand it, then I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
But
that's like Nathan from Cryptonauts. He always goes, I try to do it as if I'm explaining it to a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, like, a lot of times, like, especially in my older videos when I first got started, if I don't understand what the word is, I'll stop and define it in the video. Be like, okay, so I just use this term and this word means whatever, because I don't know, because sometimes you don't want to stop the video and go figure out what it means. It's just easier if people kind of break it all down. So yeah, 12-year-old's definitely a good age to try to lecture to.
Yeah, and another thing too, when you think about it, you know, you've looked at all these, you kind of, I got my mind was wandering thinking about the educational aspect of it, and even just the simple fact that people don't truly understand, like, even like I use my dad, for example. He really thinks that Bitcoin goes inside of a wallet, and really in reality, the Bitcoins, the crypto, they're on the blockchain. Your private keys are essentially like a door that lets you into the blockchain, you know? So he's like, oh, what if I lose my wallet? It's like, I mean, unless you lose the actual key, like the numbers, but then people leave it on the exchanges and exchange get hacked, right? So we had the big Mt. Gox. I don't know if you recently saw that the trustee came out, and now people are trying to come back into, you know, basically you can claim what you lost. But now people are pissed off because here's the issue. They're trying to pay them back in the cash amount that it was worth when it got hacked. And they're pissed off because they're like, yeah, but that Bitcoin has like 10x or 15, 20x since that. I don't know the exact numbers. So they're trying to get paid out. It's like when BitConnect paid everybody out in BCC.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, what the hell are we going to do with this? They're like, it's not even a token that has a use case. So those are things also, you know, you have to let new people, because I think that they get a lot of scams. I saw with the BitConnect leader that got taken down, and then there was a post in India totally misconstrued the information, and they were reporting in India headlines that Satoshi Nakamoto had been arrested and he was in jail, and finally the Bitcoin Ponzi had been taken down. And it's just like, you guys know that they're not related at all, right? And it's that misinformation that I don't want the public being afraid to get involved, because that's going to turn everybody off, and that's not the case. I mean, it's like airplanes, you know, like people are afraid to fly, but how often do planes actually crash? You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe that wasn't a good example. I don't know, but yeah.
No, I mean, I think we get your point, though. But I mean, yeah, it is scary to come in the space and not realize, like, or just be kind of not gullible, but just unaware. Oh, well, this says it's going to make me, you know, X amount of returns, and all I have to do is like send it some Ether or send it some Bitcoin. You know, the average person doesn't really know that that's a lie, especially if you're not around it. And you know, I always said the reason those Twitter ETH scams still exist and they're still doing it is because they must be making money still. I mean, if it wasn't lucrative, they would have stopped at this point. So there's definitely still people that need the education and the assistance.
Did you see Elon Musk? Elon Musk, I was going to say, he got hacked. His Twitter got hacked.
Did he really?
Yeah. Oh, did it? That's what I was going to say. His first tweet about actually crypto was how amazed he was about the Ethereum bots and how they work and how Twitter can actually go around it. That it blows my mind that Twitter has got so many employees and they can't go over Ethereum bots. I don't know if it's just me, but it's really annoying.
It goes beyond that. It goes beyond that too, Sarah, because even just like I try to do polls for like vote for your next, I'll let the community vote. What do you want for my next video review, right? And I've seen my own polls get manipulated by bots. Really? Like I'll have 4 and like one will clearly be losing. And then all of a sudden, like 15 minutes before it's done, it'll just get like 150 views out of nowhere. Like the whole Binance thing. I mean, how do you even do these? I think that's the other thing with the blockchain too, is like being able to do voting and things like that. Because look at these centralized systems, how easy they are to manipulate. You can't even trust polls. You know, it's just, I don't know.
Well, Clearpoll is actually supposed to be putting out their initial like alpha platform, I guess. And I'm interested into looking into that, because I think that is really, really cool. And I would love to see polling or any sort of like governmental aspect in that way to be taken on by the blockchain. Because I think with the U.S. and the whole election this past, or 2 years ago now, whatever, we could benefit for some transparency in our polling systems, I think.
I think it's just Florida. I think as long as Florida doesn't get a right to vote, no offense to everybody in Florida, but it seems to always be some confusion down south. I don't know what it is with your voting machines, but
It's not just you guys. There was Brexit as well for us.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. Talk about Brexit. Can you guys, for a second, give us a little information? Because that's huge, right? It's a big deal.
I actually made a video about Brexit and how it's going to influence the crypto. So if you want to check it out, obviously, everyone, you can do it. But basically, it's there's going to be some significant changes in the government and with the taxes. I'm not really too good with taxes. My mom is an accountant, so she usually does it. But there's going to be big implementations that I think people involved with the crypto actually need to get their head around it. It's not just that the economy is going to be down. And I'm obviously against Brexit because I'm not English, as you know, Kyle. I'm not English. So right, I'm also worried about Don't say it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. All right.
Okay. It's out now. But yeah, I'm also worried about like my job and stuff. So it's not just an implementation of the crypto, but people actually need to realize that it's gonna get difficult, I think. People don't actually realize it. But I don't really want to talk too much about Brexit.
Okay, we don't have to. I don't want to.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I personally didn't really know much about it because it kind of didn't really affect me. You know what I mean? So I know that sounds kind of messed up. Plus, it's like trying to get involved in anything that's not crypto related for me is like, I go out in the real world and somebody will be like, hey, did you see what happened with Trump? And I'm just like, no. And they're like, oh, well, he's our president and it's really important. I'm like, I don't watch the news. I literally just do crypto.
He's our president for a short period of time.
I watch all the crypto news, but no telling news. They're just boring. They're just all the same stuff. Crypto is so much more interesting. What I found
is, Rhoda, when you were saying that you were listening to like audio versions of the white paper originally, because that was the best way for you to kind of consume information. I'm the same way. So I work 40 hours a week. And so it was easier for me to listen to podcasts or audiobooks to get into kind of crypto in general. So that's what I do now during the week. When I'm driving or commuting to work, I listen to podcasts, and then I'll do audiobooks, a couple books on Bitcoin that I've read or listened to. So that's like the only way I can consume new information now because I don't have time. But yeah, I mean, taking in any info outside of crypto is, whether it's political or whatever else, is hard because this is such like a fast-paced. A week is like an eternity in crypto adjusted terms. So
yeah, I noticed. Oh,
yeah. I actually just found a cool article on cryptonews.com that apparently South Korea political parties are turning to blockchain to start working towards their voting system. I guess there's advocates that are calling for the introduction of blockchain powered voting in South Korea. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah. Guess who's working with them?
Icon.
The Icon Loop. Just saying, guys, I know everyone's like, oh, you talk about Icon crashed. It's like, what didn't crash? Like, it's not just Icon. I mean, literally, there's no crypto survived. Any crypto that, like, I think one of the coins that did like the best was actually Binance. If you look at Binance over the past 6 months, it actually had a really good trajectory. So probably Binance was one of the best picks, but other than that, everybody just got wrecked. So, but I've actually started to accumulate. I don't know about you guys. I started picking up more Elastos. I picked up a little more Icon. Actually, Veet is a new project that I think has a very, very, very low market cap. It's only about 10 million right now. So that's one that I'm looking at. Yeah, that's really it right now. Still holding my Bitcoin though, because you got to hold Bitcoin. So
yeah, my portfolio is like, now it's gone down because I've used my Bitcoin for other stuff, but it's like 18% Bitcoin, I think, right now.
It's tough because Bitcoin's boring. People don't get the massive gains, but then you also don't get those massive losses too. So if you kind of hedge against it, I mean, so you in the UK, you can get involved in ICOs. Have you bought any ICOs? Have you ever bought one? What was your experience with it? Was it good? Or?
I'm not invested in it, so unfortunately, answered that question. Sorry.
I was just curious to see how they've been going for people that have invested in ICOs. Personally,
have you done any ICOs, Rhoda?
Yeah, me and my partner have done some. Yeah.
Have you had good success with them?
It's been,
well, I'll tell you
the last one. Actually, the last one.
You don't have to name it if you don't want to.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there was the last one we did was kind of recently, and it was in one of the Net 5 ones, so kind of giving hints there. It hasn't done as well as we were expecting it to, so but we're still waiting.
Well,
but here's the biggest issue too. If you notice, a lot of these investments, the ICOs take Ethereum, they take Ether. Well, Ether fell from 500 to 250 in the course of almost a week. It halved in price. So right there, by default, if you're buying a certain amount of tokens for Ether at 500 and now Ether dropped, right? You know what I'm saying? So that alone, yeah, the Ethereum thing, man.
Well, the only ICO I participated in was the Kin ICO, and I was pretty excited about that. But it's been, I mean, it dropped way below the ICO price, and then basically everybody sold. But actually, more recently, they just released there's an app now that you can like take surveys and do like daily stuff and earn Kin and then buy gift cards with that, which is pretty.
Is that Kinit?
Kinit, yeah. I just downloaded it the other day and I've been using it. So, I mean, it didn't do, it didn't go 10x like everything else, and I didn't sell. I still hold all the original. But I just felt like it was like the only one that the US could participate in, so I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. I mean, that's my thought process, right? Go, just do it.
Everyone in my live stream keeps telling me to they're basically telling me what the hell am I doing on this live stream? I'm essentially like the ugliest person, so we need to get another woman in here. I don't belong on this live stream. I don't know. I just figured I would just talk to different people. I'm not I didn't do it to be like, oh hey,
No, I think it's great. I mean, we have a tendency to stream with the same people anyways because it's easier to just chat with somebody that you've already chatted with, but it's important to bring on other people that are good and different and have a different point of view, and you guys are, like I said, the other side of the pond, so you definitely have a view on things that we don't have over here, which I think is really cool.
But going back to ICOs, I think when we invest in ICOs, we choose projects that we really believe in. We're not investing to flip it. So I think there's a difference where we actually are true believers in it and we're in it for the long haul, if that makes sense. So
that's the way to, I mean, ultimately, that's the smarter way to go about doing it. Because if you're in a bear market like we are now, if you invest in an ICO on fundamentals, not with the intention of 10xing, you're going to have a better time in the long run if that's kind of the way you feel. Somebody is yelling, Kyle, for you to wear a wig.
Somebody told me to put a paper bag on too. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the nice comments on my channel, guys. I appreciate it. Well, though, getting back on that topic of investing in things that you believe in and thank you, Eduardo. I appreciate it. He says I'm pretty. Thank you. So one of the things that really bothered me, like when I went to Consensus, I really got, because I do love the tech. Of course I want to make money. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't. I'd be lying to say that I don't care about anything but tech. But the thing is like when I went there, the problem was like you go to this event and it's designed for networking and meeting people. And the problem was that every single person that came up to me was more concerned about what could be done for them instead of what they can do for me. And I found that to be really selfish. Like it was a bunch of guys. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really know who these people were. They kind of came out of the woodworks. Everybody's wearing business suits and it's all about like, well, I'm going to invest in this and flip this. And how can you make me rich in this? And I was like, maybe that's why everything crashed after Consensus, because it was a really depressing, eye-opening fact that all these retail people that came in later, they're only concerned about money. And inevitably, if all you're concerned about is greed, the greed is going to tear it down. And I think that's exactly what it is.
You're going to cut your losses and sell out. So that's actually a very good point, Kyle. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I mean, fundamentally, if you start really breaking down conversations with people, you'll find out what their priorities are. And most of the time, it's usually, finance-based, which is fine and whatever, but this market, it's a little small for everybody to just be selling and getting out of it because the prices aren't great. So fundamentals are important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like these emails that you get, from these random ICO projects, and literally the first thing that it says is like sponsored paid ICO with like exclamation points, and it's just like that's how you're going to introduce yourself to me.
Yeah.
And like even you go on these websites for these new ICOs, and honestly, if I click on a website and the first thing I see is the token sale, I'm out. That should be the last thing. That should not be, the token sale should be the most difficult part of your website to find. You know what I'm saying? Like I should have information on the front page. So sometimes you can just tell just by looking at these projects, like which ones are the cash grabs. And unfortunately, it has become ridiculously easy for people that have absolutely nothing but a white paper to raise millions of dollars, which in traditional, if you have an IPO, you have to be established for that, and
that's my problem as well. That's my little bugbear as well. And I really love the fact that you guys are doing this token tank thing, because we kind of needed it in this space. I love the idea that I think I respect any project or any CEO who agrees to go on your token tank and just be asked, really put on the spot and grilled, because the simplest way I could break down the whole ICO process, how it should be when it comes to asking for an investment, was like the Shark's Tank, or in the UK we call it the Dragon's Den. Like, you think of, you're going to ask for money, you go to the Dragon's Den or the Shark's Tank, and you go with an idea. You go not just with an idea and a white paper, say, oh, this is my idea and this is my white paper. They get grilled. They really get grilled. They have to show a minimal viable product. They have to show records. They have to show projections. They have to, they get asked if they're in debt, how much of their profits are going in debt. They get asked so many questions, and there isn't enough of that in this space. So I think your token tank is a really good step towards something like that.
Well, that's the thing that's different too, is like, we don't prep the questions, like it's not sponsored, they don't pay for it, and they don't know what we're going to ask them.
That's brilliant.
Like, I've done interviews where I understand if there's a language barrier, that's understandable. You need to prep, because I've had some that they just don't speak English that well. But some people will be like, no, like, let me revise that. I don't want to answer that. And it's just like, now you're not doing an interview. Now you're basically doing like a shill. You want to come on my channel to like literally just shill your project. You're not realistic. You're not talking about problems. You're not talking about concerns. And that really like pisses me off personally. And that's why I'm really selective with the people that I speak with, especially if they're trying to tell me like, we're going to provide you with the list of questions. It's like, that's not an interview. That's program. It's designed. It's like a script, and I just think that people don't need that. I think people need more transparency. Actually, a couple people over here have been asking about Hedera.
Same over here.
Alex, you were in the token tank as well. I kind of gave my opinion on it. Do you guys have an opinion on Hedera? Some people think it's too centralized and they don't like the fact that it was kept completely private.
I mean, I said that, I think I said this at the end of the video, but my thought on it is that, okay, so yeah, cryptocurrency was born out of a want and need for decentralization and for a hands-off approach, and that's fine. And there's thousands of projects that are trying to do that. And I think that Hedera is pretty much focused on an enterprise solution for transactions per second and for speed and for viability within a corporate setting. I think that there's a space for everything. They're very honest about the fact that they're not necessarily planning to be a public chain, and a lot of the reason that their transactions per second are so quick is because the nodes are more controlled and things like that. So if you're looking at Hedera and you're comparing it to Bitcoin, you're doing it wrong. It's like apples and oranges. So I think what it's doing, the goal it's trying to succeed with, is fine. It's not a public sale. Yeah, that was kind of crummy, but also I don't think they necessarily want the general public in it if it's an enterprise solution. So to each their own. There's a space for everything. Everything doesn't have to be decentralized and Bitcoin like.
But Alex, isn't it ironic though that you have people hating on Hedera because of what they're doing with the 51 nodes? I don't even remember. Something
59, I think.
59 or something. And then you have EOS with the 21 block producers, but you have EOS doing a year-long ICO where literally anyone could participate in the whole world for a year long, and everyone's like, screw that, that sucked. That's a stupid model. They waste too much money. And then you have Hedera doing the absolute opposite, saying, screw that, that's not fair. I couldn't get in. It's like, well, what
just about to get into an argument with somebody on the chat because somebody just said to me, don't you think it's irresponsible of you guys to promote Hedera with how they handled their token sale? And I wanted to say no, because there's people all over YouTube promoting EOS, which had a year-long public ICO, and they barely have a working product, and their project's like falling through the cracks, and they can't manage the centralization of their nodes. So no, I don't think it's again, there's a space for everything. And we're as you said, Kyle, there's always going to be an update and edits needed to a project. That's the reason why the iPhone gets push updates all the time from Apple, because nothing is perfect. So we have to be patient and understand that like sometimes there's projects out there that aren't going to be for us and their purpose is something else entirely. We all have like this mindset that everything has to be decentralized, and blockchain is a tech that's good for a lot of use cases. They don't all have to be public.
Yeah, it has great use cases right now. Like right now, like literally right now, you can use it for voting. You can use it for supply chain logistics. You can technically use it as a store of value and a way of P2P transfer. It has use cases,
And I liked your recent video when you mentioned about charity as well, because that's something that's quite close to my heart. Being used in charity, like knowing where the money's going.
I'm not going to name any names because I don't know who watches these videos that knows who I am personally, but there are some charities that we have had in our community questionable of what are these people doing, because the people that all of a sudden they have these charities, right, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later they're taking a vacation in the Bahamas and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, that's really convenient that 2 weeks after the charity you guys are taking the kids going, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, I really wish I could see where my money's going, and that's why I'm skeptical. That's why I don't. Go ahead. Hello?
Oh, sorry. I've seen an article today. I don't know if you guys, am I frozen?
No, you're good.
For like a second, you're good now.
Okay, cool. So do you guys have Lad Bible? Do you know what a Lad Bible is?
The website?
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so they basically made an article today saying that there was a couple who raised £200,000 for a homeless person, and they quit their jobs to do it and to give a guy a new start. And as soon as they finished, they ended up having 2 cars and going on 5 holidays. And the homeless guy only got 25K from it. So that's what I mean. Like, that would never happen on blockchain. Like, there's just not a chance a scam like that would go through unless someone pulled some, I don't know, out of box moves. So yeah, I totally agree that charity is a great help for blockchain. Yeah, blockchain is a great helpful charity the other way.
Well, that's like, I forget what project, I think it was Request Network, where they were talking about how if they were used within like municipal regulations, like within towns or whatever, if they use them for the money that they bring in on taxes, and then we could show exactly where their taxes are going instead of there being dishonesty and like where the money is going actually in our government, which I think is another great use case, because obviously with like all of the manipulation that we have and people buying other people off, it's very easy for, when you have that much money, for greed to set in and for you to be dishonest. It's especially if you don't think anybody's watching.
Yeah. And that's the issue with the centralized systems, is that we don't know where they're going and we don't know what they're doing. So those are just some of the solutions that blockchain could definitely help. Actually, I wanted to ask you a question, Sarah, real quick, because you were talking about how you really, really like Neo, and we were talking earlier about the tech, and I meant to ask this question, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Yes.
So how do you feel about talking about, there's all these bugs? I think Candor brought it up. She said there's bugs and there's all these issues and people, they're losing their faith and stuff like that. So how do you feel about all this Neo FUD that's been going on recently? I mean, in one hand, people are like, oh, they keep finding all these issues. They forked. They weren't supposed to. Then a couple times you had issues with the node shutting down. You remember they got frozen on a few ICOs. But my question is, does that mean that Neo is like garbage and we should just throw it out? Or do you think that it's a good thing? I mean, I would rather find these bugs now than 5 years from now.
I think finding bugs is the best thing that can happen to a project. It's like the silver lining of a project, because you find out, like, we're in an early adoption now, like maybe a little bit later on. But basically, if they find it now, I'd rather them find it now before they go on to Ethereum scale and they have that many projects being built and upon them, rather than, so I'm trying to get to the point that they're just starting, glad they're finding all those bugs, because that means they can fix them. I'll get worried when they won't be able to fix them, and when the production of ICOs will be impossible upon them. So I'm personally not worried about it. I think they just, as long as they sort it out, they'll be fine. And Ethereum's got some scalability issues as well. So not a single blockchain platform is safe from bugs. That's just my take on it. And while there was some project recently that had some loads of bugs, and I was really happy about it. I can't recall it now. But there are projects who constantly find them and they don't repair them. And that's when I lose faith into them.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, finding them and repairing them, finding them is the better part, because if they're finding them, that means that the team is actively trying to improve the project. They're working on it. That's a good thing. If they were sitting there saying there's nothing wrong with our project, it's perfect, that's like McAfee's wallet. If anybody can hack it, whatever, it's unhackable. Instead of them trying to, because they probably didn't even test it, them trying to test it, improve it, and be able to show people the effort that they put in forth in making it unhackable, but instead they promote it as such and lied to people about it. So I'd rather see transparency, humility. Okay, our project's not perfect. Here are our bugs. Here's what we're fixing. And honestly, Neo's, like their updates that they do on their actual website, that they do monthly updates, very thorough. I mean, they put everything that they find that is wrong, everything that they're working on, and I would much rather that than them try to hide it. I mean, I think that's a pro.
Yeah, and not to mention they're really quick. No, they're really quick to jump in on it, like Red for a sec, you know, Eric Zhang. I mean, name one time that Neo has an issue that not within a matter of literally hours they're addressing it, working on it, fixing it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, my partner put it to me in a really simple way to understand. Like he used the example of like our child, our baby, like they come out into this world with no immune system, and they pick up bugs, and it's what makes them stronger, what makes them better. And I think it's the same thing with these projects that are coming into the space. These bugs are actually helping. They're going to make the project stronger. And it's like Sara said, as the earlier that it happens, the better.
Oh, that's why I like these projects like QuantStamp and Certic, whatever they're calling themselves, because they're actually looking to look into the bugs. They're trying to find them, and that's becoming something, you know, auditing these smart contracts. So I think that's going to be a niche market of its own that's going to be really important personally.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, this has been a pretty fun ride. I don't know. I mean, are there any questions from the chat? I mean, the chat got kind of quiet. Everybody was really asking a lot of questions. I think the whole market's got everybody kind of into like a bit of a mood right now. You know, we're all just kind of trying to figure out what we're doing, where we belong, and how to really benefit from this. I mean, it's funny because everybody keeps saying buy the dip and then it dips more, and buy the dip and then it dips more. But you know, I mean, if you do look at Bitcoin, I'm not really good with TA right now, so I'm not going to pretend that I do technical analysis. I'm not going to pretend to be that guy. But if you do look at it, it's been going sideways for like quite some time now. And in the past, although it might not repeat itself, I've noticed that it usually does something. I hope it goes this way though, but we'll see. So
I know.
Thoughts
I
on
have faith.
Perlin and Avalanche?
I think it's gonna explode. It's just a matter of time. And I mean, I don't do TA, and I'm just speaking from a gut feeling. So, you know, do your own research. Don't trade on my advice, whatever. But no, I mean, based on last year, you know, when we saw the increase to almost 20K or whatever, that, you know, that was just enthusiasm, and that was a drop in a bucket compared to the amount of people that are still out there that are maybe debating on getting into crypto or haven't heard of it yet. And I mean, I think the future is going to be quite bright. I just think that these pullbacks and this bear market is healthy. It's got to happen. It's unrealistic for us to expect growth. Yeah, we can't have that kind of growth all the time. It's just not real.
The interesting thing is, if you don't just look at the price, you look at the volume, you'll see that the volume is growing, which means that there's more transactions happening. More people are actually using crypto, even though the prices are the lowest they've been, like, well, not the lowest they've been all year, but almost the lowest they've been. But the volume is way bigger than it used to be.
Crypto Daily, actually, I watched a video a couple days ago, and he said, he's like, yeah, you know, the price isn't going anywhere, but if you look at like the actual volume trading over the last like 2 years, it's steadily increasing. So it's there, you know, the market's there.
I made a tweet about the volumes, trading volumes, and I said it before I found the tweet. Okay, so in 2014, an average daily volume was $15 million. In 2017, it was 2.2 billion. And in 2019, we don't really know what's it going to be. So it's just going up. Exactly. And volume speaks for itself, I think, louder than anything else can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, price is just a reflection of whatever. Like, when you really think about it, all it is the last price multiplied by how many coins. You know, it's difficult to get. I mean, in reality, the scary thing actually about the market cap, I don't know how many people know this, but if everybody was to try to cash out at once, wouldn't be able to. The market cap doesn't truly reflect how much money is actually in crypto. It's actually arguably inflated. I've heard people say up to even 50x of the actual amount of money you could take out at once, which is very interesting because you always have a buy and a sell, unless you're doing OTC. So inevitably, if you were going to cash out, you'd have to, it would, you know, I don't know, it would drive it down and blah, yada, 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 whatever. So yeah, I mean, that's actually scary thinking that it's even lower than what we're looking at, because you look at how these guys are manipulating it right now. Imagine if it was even lower than that. And that's the thing is, like, the whole reason that I got into this whole decentralized stuff was because I wanted to get away from the banks. I wanted to get away from the centralization. And it seems like the more we keep selling our Bitcoin cheap to these guys on the other end, and we don't know who they are, we're giving that power back to them. And they're just going to, the same problems that we have in the real world, we're going to have in crypto if we don't start taking back the power ourselves, you know? And that's why everyone needs to hold a little bit of Bitcoin, not financial advice, but just hold some. Stop giving it away to these people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
So is there anything else? We've been going for about an hour. I've really appreciated this. I actually have to, I'm going to New York City. I don't know if you guys know Jeff from Quantalysis. He's getting married.
Ooh.
And he's having a bachelor party. So I'm going to go see Jeff in the city tonight.
I'm going to go look at hot air balloons. So that's my plan for this evening.
I'm going to bed.
There you go. No, I mean, I don't have any questions. If you guys have anything else to add, otherwise I'm pretty much good on my end.
Cool.
I can't think of anything to far.
No.
Well, I'll say something. Definitely, Rhoda, new channel, just got into crypto. Everybody, please go support her. I appreciate her content. I think it's really good. So check it out. And, the link's in the description. Go follow everybody. We're all a happy crypto family here. So there you go.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Absolutely. And obviously to everybody that came out in the chat, obviously I love you guys. You're awesome. We had some kind of funny comments in the chat today, but I know you guys are just playing around. So still a pleasure and an honor to have everybody on. So thanks everybody. Really, really awesome. I'd love to do something like this again at some point. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
You should, girlfriend.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
There
everyone
you go.
have a great night.
All right.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.